Professor Panda, wake up!
Wake
up!
What's going on here? Welcome, scholars. I'm Professor Panda, and you are in my laboratory. You and I will be exploring today. Bumble Bear, the garden party. Scholars, this will be our story for today. It seems I'm forgetting something. What is it? Oh, yeah. What do you think the story is about? I'm excited just by seeing the cover and reading the title. At least, scholars, we know it's about bears, a garden, and some kind of party. My favorite. Well, scholars, let's explore the world of the garden party and join our characters Bumble Bear. Bumble Bear loved honey. But despite scheme after scheme and plan after plan, the honey shelves in his cottage were empty. His wife, Gwendolyn, and his cubs, Wear and Tear, often smiled to themselves over his bumbling efforts to get honey for the shelves. One morning, at breakfast, Bumble Bear sat staring into an empty honey jar. Gwendolyn was looking out the window, and she turned and said to Wear and Tear, "Today, you can help me plant flowers in my garden." "I thought you already planted strawberries," said Tear. "I thought you planted raspberries too," said Wear. "I did," said Gwendolyn. "But the berry blossoms need to be pollinated. If you plant a lot of flowers, the bees will come and give us their help." Bumble Bear's head snapped up. "Bees?" he said. "Bees?" He continued thinking. "Where bees are, honey is. Right here on Honey Hill Farm." A plan formed in his honey-tracked mind. "I'll plant my own garden," he mumbled. "The bees will love me. They'll thank me too with honey." He smiled and he thought of eating honey all day long. As the sun set, Gwendolyn said to her cubs, "Thank you for all your help today. This garden will be as pretty as a picture." At that moment, Bumble Bear stumbled onto another sweet idea. "Pictures," he thought. Back in his study, Bumble Bear worked feverishly with his paints. He painted wildflowers, one flower which took him a very long time. There must be an easier way, he thought. Then he smiled and got a stack of Gwendolyn's garden magazines. His scissors flew until he had a stack of brightly colored flowered pictures. He sang to himself, "Pretty as a picture, ta-dee-da-dum." When morning came, Bumble Bear nailed all the flowered pictures on stakes. There was pictures of sunflowers, roses, peonies, marigolds, and even orchids that would be set around his painted masterpiece, the wildflower. "These will blossom all summer long," he thought. As he worked, "I'll never have to work in my garden again, and these bees will love them." Bumble Bear carried the flower pitchers out of his garden and planted them. He plucked the red and blue silk flowers from several vases Gwendolyn had in the house and planted them too. The bright jumble of flowers could be seen from far away. All that summer, Wear and Tear and Gwendolyn Bear hoed and tilled, weeded and watered, Bumble Bear spent his time lying in the shade, listening to the hum of the bees and dreaming of his honey dreams.
It seems like there are more bees in the garden than ever,
he thought happily. He watched the bees as they hovered around his garden, looking at his pictures before flying off to Gwendolyn's garden to continue their pollination work. Some days Bumble Bear would tiptoe down to the beehive, which was bursting with honey. Honey dripped down the sides, and Bumble Bear would cautiously lick a little off.
delicious.
He said,
They are working extra hard thanks to my inspiration.
One evening, Gwendolyn showed Bumble Bear a tiny invitation sealed with beeswax.
The bees are having a garden party tomorrow,
Said Gwendolyn.
They have invited us and wish to thank us for our hard work this summer. At last,
Thought Bumble Bear. That night, Bumble Bear had sweet dreams of honey by the pot, by the barrel, by the wagon load. His honey due for a job well done. That next day, the whole Bear family dressed in flowery finery to attend the bees' garden party. The hive was beautifully decorated, and the meadow was filled with harmonious buzzing as the bees waited for their honored guest. Gwendolyn Bear received a flower vase that the bears had filled with honey, and wear and tear were given a shiny bucket holding a large honeycomb. Then it was Bumble Bear's turn. He stepped up, beaming, to receive his sweet reward. The bees flew to him, humming harmoniously now, and placed a pitcher of a honey jar into his anxiously awaiting paws. Bumble Bear looked very sadly at the pitcher. A symbol for real honey? His stomach grumbled, and his honey hopes crumbled. Gwendolyn Bear smiled gently and said,
a very pretty picture of honey, don't you think?
That night, Bumble Bear locked himself in his study, thinking and planning, with the pitcher of the honey jar propped up in front of him.
One of these days, I'll stumble onto something. I'll come up with a picture-perfect plan.
What if? Well, scholars, what do you think of this book? This story teaches us a large lesson. Sometimes it is better to work hard than to just skate by and cutting corners. Like we always do with our experiments, scholars, you have to follow the steps, safety first, and work hard each time to get the results to prove your hard work can pay off. Don't be like Bumble Bear, scholars, taking the shortcuts. Sometimes the long route pays off the best. Let us know what you think, scholars. Until next time.
Thank you for watching. Remember, if you liked our videos, we loved exploring with you. Don't forget to visit our social media pages and subscribe to our videos to watch more from us. See you next time so we can explore and have more adventures.